the coming of Christ has been preached many times. Okay, and I think we can all agree with that. That ever since when I was young, the pastor already been preaching about the imminent coming of Christ. In other words, Christ is soon coming. Is soon coming. That was how many years now? Uh, I'm already almost 63. So uh, uh, so what's the why his second coming has been delayed? Okay, has been delayed. Okay, so let's read this. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can find the. Okay, now the second coming of Christ actually is being prophesied in the book of Matthew. The book of Matthew, chapter 24, talks about the signs of his coming. Now, are all the signs been fulfilled? Because he gave us the signs before he comes. This is in Matthew 24, if you can see it on the screen. The disciples actually ask him, okay, what shall be the sign of thy coming? This is in verse 3. Actually, if you look at Mark, Luke, the disciples, they were just what? Peter, James, and John. Three of them actually approached Christ regarding the signs of his coming. What shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And then in verse 4, Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. So Christ said to the disciples, take heed, because there's so many false Christs, false teachers that will come, okay, that will arise. And then verse 6, ye shall hear of wars, rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Now, we're having wars, right? This wars has been happening. Even today, there's wars going on today. So this has been fulfilled, okay? Nations shall rise against nations, kingdom against kingdoms. Long time ago, Babylon has been fighting with Medo-Persia. These things has been happening, okay, even today. All these are the beginning of sorrows. And then verse 15. This is one of the things that he gave to the disciples. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Okay? Whoso readeth, let him understand. Then verse 16, let them which be in Judea flee to the mountains. Flee to the mountains. So in verse 15, when ye therefore shall see the abomination and desolation spoken of by them. What is an abomination? Abomination is when you turn away from God. That is an abomination. When you disobey God, that is an abomination. That's why it says there, if you disobey the 10 commandments, even your prayer is an abomination in the sight of God, right? Even your worship is an abomination of God if you disobey God. That is an abomination. So when you see this abomination spoken of by Daniel the prophet, it says here, let them which be in Judea flee to the mountain. It seems like there's an urgency here that we need to do. Okay? Now in Mark, is more clearer here. Mark 13, 14 to 16, when ye shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, is standing where it ought not. In other words, abominations that are happening which are actually happening, which is not supposed to be there, and it's going on, then it says here, flee to the mountains. If you are in the housetop, okay, not go down into the house, neither enter therein to take anything out of his house. Let him that is in the field not turn back again for to take up his garment. In other words, this is there is an urgency here that you need to get out when you see these things. Okay, you have to get out. You have to separate. Now, in great controversy, Christ actually explained this. It says here, Christ presented before them an outline of the prominent events to take place before the close of time. His words were not then fully understood, but their meaning was to be unfolded as his people should need the instruction therein given. The prophecy which he uttered was twofold in its meaning. While foreshadowing the destruction of Jerusalem, it prefigured also the terrors of the last great day. So Christ, when he was actually explaining the abomination and desolation, he was referring to the destruction of Jerusalem. That when you see these things, get out. Do not hesitate.
So when
Get
there's an
out.
abomination going in the church,
Now, he was not actually speaking only of the destruction of Jerusalem, because when he was discussing this to his disciples, it also prefigured also to the terrors of the last day. In other words, modern ancient Israel, they were actually, he was referring to ancient Israel, the destruction of Jerusalem. It is going to be the destruction of modern Israel. That's it. He was speaking, his prophecy, which he uttered, was twofold in its meaning. So when we are seeing abominations going on in the churches today, there is an urgency that we have to get out. We have to decide. Because what happened before, you know how many Jewish people killed during the destruction? It says there more than 1 million, because they did not believe the words of Christ. They were believing the rabbis, the pastors, the ministers. So this is a reminder to us that when we are seeing abomination going on right now, we have to decide. Okay, either we stay or not, because there's going to be a destruction that will take place. All right. Now, what is an abomination? According to Proverbs 6:16-19, 6 abominations God hates. It says here 7 abominations unto him: a proud look, proud look, lying tongue, okay, hands that shed innocent blood. Oh, we don't do that. Heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, feet that be swift in running to mischief, false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren. So, fighting among brethren, brothers and sisters, they're having quarrel each other. This is one of the abomination that God doesn't want it. We don't have to fight. We can always disagree with each other, but we don't have to fight, right? We could still be brothers and sisters. But some people today, if you disagree with, enough is enough for you. I'm not going with you no more. No, but we can always agree to disagree, but we are still friends. Okay. But this is one of the abomination. Proverbs 12 verse 22, lying lips are abomination to the Lord. Okay. But they that deal truly are his delight. Okay. Also in Proverbs 28:9, he that turneth away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer shall be abomination. So when we actually disobey God from obeying his law, our prayers are abomination. Okay. Apostasy. What is apostasy? Apostasy is turning away from God. It's the same thing. Apostasy, abomination. When you turn away from God, that is apostasy. It says here in Greek controversy, when the idolatrous standard of the Romans should be set up in the holy ground, which extended some furlongs outside the city walls, then the followers of Christ were to find safety in flight. When the warning sign should be seen, those who would escape must make no delay. Now, the sign of the Jewish people before the destruction of Jerusalem, they were given this warning sign that when you see the Romans, the idolatrous standards of the Romans be set up in the holy ground, they have to get out. It says here, it was not actually set up outside of the city. I don't know how many furlongs away, but when you see the sign, Christ said, "Get out if you were in the farm, do not go back to your house, but rather just get out because destruction is coming. That was the command. Now our time today, what is our sign? It says here, as the approach of the Roman armies was a sign to the disciples of the impending destruction of Jerusalem, so may this apostasy be a sign to us. Apostasy or abomination is going to be a sign to us that the limit of God's forbearance is reached, that the measure of our nation's iniquity is full, and that the angel of mercy is about to take her flight, never to return. But a lot of people today said, no, they believe more on their leaders, But no, I'm not gonna take a chance. I have to decide because this is a destruction. If what happened before, it's going to happen, because when Christ was telling his disciples, it was a twofold prophecy. He was not just speaking of the destruction of Jerusalem, he was speaking also of this modern Jerusalem, which is the modern Israel. Okay? So there's going to be a destruction.
But
Now,
what's going on today in America? People are behaving like that.
yes, exactly, yes. Exactly.
And now, what do you do if you can't get away from it?
What you can do, if you're gonna get, well, you have a decision to make for yourself. Which one do you want to follow? You want to follow the counsel of Christ? That's it. Amen. Because Peter said, when he was being confounded, Peter was preaching the gospel, right? Peter was so bold. He was preaching, we have to lock him in. So he was being asked by the soldiers, said, please stop preaching. But Peter said, we'd rather obey God rather than man. So he continues to preach. So the same thing with us, we'd rather obey God than man, right? Because God is our first priority. Now, what is our protection in these last days? Our protection is obedience to the requirements of God. Okay? And here are some of the counsels why God is actually gathering his people today. We know that abominations are happening right now. Apostasy are already happening right now. In every church, there's always apostasy. So the only way that we can be protected is obedience to the requirements of God. 2 Corinthians 6:14-18, it says here, okay, in verse 17, I'm just reading it. Come out from among them and be separate, said the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. This is one of the commands given to us by Christ, because we cannot yoke up with those people who doesn't believe, right? If your neighbor doesn't believe what you believe, you're gonna go with him? No, there has to be a separation, because this is what happened before the destruction of Jerusalem. He wants his people out. When you see those abominations, get out. So come out from among them and be separate, said the Lord. And it says, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you, and will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters, said the Lord Almighty. Revelation 18:4-5, it says there, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. And then here in Patriarchs and Prophets, from the midst of apostasy and rebellion, God gathers out a people that are true to him. So at this time where abominations and apostasy are happening, God actually is gathering a people that are true to him, a people in whose heart is his law. And I hope that we are one of this, right? There was a coming out, a decided separation from the wicked in the past, escape for life. So it was in the days of Noah, so it was in Lot, so with the disciples prior to the destruction of Jerusalem, and so it will be in the last days. Again, the voice of God is heard in a message of warning, bidding his people separate themselves from the prevailing iniquity. This is one of the signs that God has given us that we need to heed, because otherwise we